You can rest assured of your child's excellent performance when you register your child with Janan Schools, Bombo Karule Campus and Kabalagala. Due to their firm educational background, we have the best facilities in both arts and sciences, fully updated to the latest sector standards, right from Senior 1 to Senior 6, in an environment that offers a chance to apply practical skills in all fields. That include a computer lab, introducing our students to the tech world, a well-organized science laboratory, a fully stocked library with all the essential books a student may need, a model farm to equip students with all the basic knowledge in agriculture, plus extra vocational skills. We promote co-curricular activities in sports like badminton, table tennis, basketball, volleyball, chess, and many more other activities. Register your child today at both campuses in Bombo Kalule and Kabalagala campus. For more information, contact us on the numbers below.
Okay, good afternoon, our viewers. Serena, once again, we thank you so much for watching our TV here at Beg Television. Today we have a new topic called Let's Talk Environment. We need to know more about the conservation of environment. We need to know about climate change. And our guest today is called Mr. David. Okay, we have a guest today called Mr. Kureva David from NAPE. He's going to tell us about what NAPE does and other things concerning the environment. You're welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Serena and Beg TV for hosting me. My name is Kureva David. I work with the National Association of Professional Environmentalists, NAPE, and I'm a senior program officer, forest and biodiversity. And when you are talking about environmental conservation, it begins with trees. Trees, it begins with conservation of soil, it begins with conservation of water. And NAPE really works on conservation of forests, campaigns against full solutions to climate change. For example, if you are talking about carbon trading, where people should conserve their trees and only concentrate on having just sales of carbon, issues of wetlands conservation, we much more into struggles to ensure that wetlands are not destroyed, because wetlands are very important when it comes to a number of species that are into aquifering of water, that conservation in terms of a number of bird species are conserved in wetlands, fish species, but also people depend on wetlands in terms of fishing, in terms of getting water for livelihoods, in terms of making mats from some of the vegetations that grow in wetlands. We also do work on oil. Recently, Uganda is also one of those countries that are into oil mining, and certainly it comes with a number of developments. For example, issues to do with land compensation, because with oil and gas mining, it comes with oil infrastructure development, roads, airports, pipelines, heating stations, and all those take land, and in most cases people end up sometimes inadequately compensated or adequately compensated without clear line of how to manage their finances. And as NAPE, we do a lot of human rights, a bit of defending, to ensure that if people have to be people's land have to be taken, certainly there should be some bit of compensation. So our work rotates around that, but also we have the women, or the woman in the center. We have the women, the gender desk. We always want the girl child, the women, to take the center stage in all these development processes. Because we strongly believe that if you leave out a woman, if you don't engender, you're likely to endanger, because gender is very important in streamlining any development process. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. David, we have seen people destroying trees. We have seen people not minding. Way back, we used to have so much importance in conserving the forests. Briefly, take us through the importance. Why would people be taught about conserving the environment?
Yeah, thank you, Serena. Thank you, Beg TV. This information comes in timely because the environment is life. environment generally can survive without us, but we cannot survive without environment. So when we are talking about environmental destruction, largely we are destroying ourselves because our livelihood is entirely depend on environment. All these chairs that we seated on come from environment. The clothing that we are putting on come from environment. The food that we eat comes from environment. The microphone that I'm speaking through comes from environment. So largely that is it. Environment is very, very important. One, if you are talking about rainfall, rainfall comes from environment. From evapotranspiration, it can be from trees, that is transpiration, but also evaporation from the water bodies. So these water bodies need to be protected so as to serve us with rain. Two, we get food from environment, but food also needs to be pollinated. You must have these bees conserved. These bees do the pollination role from one species to the other species. So the conservation, the less destruction of all these tree species would mean that now you're not destroying the habitats of species of animals. Because if you look at environment, this is where species live. If you look at the grasses, this is where the grazers, cows live, and we need meat. So if you destroy environment, you use all these agrochemicals, and eventually all these species die, certainly you will not have food. If you're looking at how we live in terms of the trees that we get, most of these structures, apart from the structures that we're seeing today, the trees grow in environment. So you need to conserve these trees in order to have some of these structures. You need to do sustainable development in terms of wood extraction. Look at cement, it is extracted from environment. But if it is not extracted in such a way that the next generation is able to also meet their demands, then we are heading for trouble. Then also conservation of environment. In terms of, there is a lot of plastic use that eventually litters into environment. When polythene bags are littered into environment, it means they affect the water percolation into environment, but also the different types of bottles that are dumped into environment. Some of them have chemicals in them. If you look at chemical bottles, they get into environment, and eventually, because of the chemical content within the bottles, they end up even killing the microbes, those microbes that are in the soil. Soil is like an engine. It has horsepower. The word horsepower originates from the energy that soil has. If soil has less energy, it means it will not be able to decompose some of the things that we throw. Less decomposition means less humus in the soil. So that means you'll have less or infertile soils, and you'll go away to always apply fertility. So the moment you conserve the soils, and it means you'll have healthy soils that have high horsepower, which are able to, they will have all these maggots and all these microbes that play a role of decomposition. And decomposition is very vital. If decomposition was not happening, this world would be filled with wastes. But because of the decomposition role that the environment does, whatever is thrown in the environment, it eventually assimilates into the soil. So we need to use less of the chemicals. You have seen now many people into agriculture, they use a lot of chemicals, right from planting to weeding to see at the time of fruiting and seed. They use a lot of chemicals. All those chemicals certainly end up destroying the microbes that empower the soil. So if we don't use these chemicals wisely, because we do a lot of chemical abuse. If you don't abuse chemicals, or if we don't stop abusing chemicals, that means we're heading for trouble. So we need to conserve environment so that we are able to have living soils, we are able to have living animals, and less conservation and misuse and chemical abuse we are troubling ourselves. We are the ones who eat meat. We are the ones who eat all these fruits, including mangoes, including all these tomatoes. They are sprayed with chemicals. we eat our way to the grave. If you see what we consume, we consume our this whatever you're consuming. We are on our way to our grave because we are dying slowly. Dying slowly. There's many cancers that are coming as a result of inadequate conservation of environment and use of what is used in environment. So we need actually to conserve environment because environment is our livelihood. Without environment, there is no way one can survive. So conservation should be for the people, and certainly they should conserve in such a way that they are able to meet their demands today, their needs today, without compromising the needs of the future generation. It is very, very important. Yes.
Mr. David, over the years, we have lost the green cover as Uganda. I think you can see. We used to have forests everywhere. As NAPI, what have you done to see that the green cover is back?
Yeah, thank you. NAPI is a lobby and advocacy organization. We don't enforce. But we work with communities. Largely, one, if you look at the population back those days in the years, the population was not as big as it is today.
So people resort to...
As people grow in numbers, certainly the number of houses increase. If a family had 10 children, those are 10 houses. If there are 50 children, those are 50 houses. And certainly houses are in the environment. But what the issue is may not necessarily be of the population, but the problem is greed. The agribusiness companies and the middle people that play a role in giving concessions to our prime forests. Of course, government is much more into seeing money coming in. It is much more interested in money as opposed to environmental conservation. That's why the government can import very old cars to get tax and pollute the environment. They don't care. The issue is money, GDP, how much money comes in. And rarely this money goes back into cleaning the environment. But you ask a question of forests have disappeared. As NAPE, what are we doing? We are doing campaigns, and we have gone as far as even taking some of these companies that are destroying forests to court. Talk about Okukuuma. We were in Okukuuma, we were in court. Because at the time when Okukuuma was destroyed, they had not done environmental and social impact assessment. And for any destruction of any forest, it should be done. It had not been done. If you go to mbeera, we held ever one of the biggest demonstrations that, together with other civil society organizations. We didn't want mbeera to just go. It could be going slowly, but that time, this business of killing at once, I think we saved the forest and it is still standing. We work with communities to ensure that, 70% of the forests are held by people themselves. They are privately owned. It's only 30%, where 15 of the forests are held by, I think, Uganda Wildlife Authority and NFA 15%, around that. So the 70% lies in the hands of individuals. Those are private owners. So we encourage them not to destroy forests, but also with smallholder farmers to ensure that they do boundary planting and have woodlots, so that now you don't